I have a story about failure. Hopefully, it will change your perspective on and help you succeed more in life. So, there's this coach who has his players do a drill. It's in basketball, it's a layup drill. It's a perfect layup drill. So, you got to get 20 layups in a row as a team, right? So, it's fairly simple. All they have to do is get 20 layups on the right side and 20 layups on the left side. And he watches them. He stands back and watches them. And I want you to think for a second, what do you think happens when they first get started? They start, making some layups and all that stuff, and then they start missing. And then they start, getting frustrated, and they start getting down on themselves. And then they start getting down on the kids that miss the layups. Like, let's say they're getting to 10, they're getting 11, they're getting to 12, somebody misses. Then they get frustrated and they start yelling at each other, start beating each other up, they start getting frustrated themselves. Then same thing, you know, 15, 16, 17, and somebody misses. You got to start over. Same thing happens. They get down on themselves, all that stuff. So I want you to think about outside looking in. What really matters in this drill? Does it really matter about them making all 20 perfect layups? Sure. Like, let's face it, in a game, you do have to perform. In life, there is going to be pressure. But also think about while they're doing the layups, do you think they're going to go full speed all the time? Do you think they're giving everything they have, or they're slowing down to try to do everything perfectly to make sure they make that layup? So this is a drill or an exercise in life that goes for multiple things. So if you're only giving 20% because you got to be perfect, if you're only giving 80, 30%, 60% because inside you can't handle that miss at number 19, you can't handle your teammates getting on you, you can't handle that that pressure of missing that 20th layup and making your team have to start over. But that's something to look at. So obviously the coach goes to the players and be like, hey, good job. You finally made 20 layups in a row. Great work. Awesome job, guys. But now I want you to think about something. Did you give your best the entire time? Or did you slow down? And did you try to make sure you were perfect on the layups? So there's nothing wrong with slowing down. Sometimes we have to walk before we crawl, and that's fine. But in a game, are you able to slow down so you can make that layup? You got a defense coming back, you got other players, you got commotions, you got crowd noise, you got all these things, all these factors. In life, you don't get to always slow down to just do it perfectly, right? At the same time, this is why there's practice. This is why, life is also practice, right? We get in it, we're going to make mistakes, we're gonna fail. If you can learn to fail and embrace failure more, that is more valuable than getting to 20 layups faster than slower, right? In the game of life, or even in that game, yes, depending on their skill level, the goal is to get 20 made layups in a row, which is not that challenging if you're somewhat decent at basketball. But now the next stage is, how do we get 20 layups in a row by giving a much higher percentage? We might not be ready for 100%. So the coaches easily can say, hey, look, did everybody here give 100% on their layups, or did they hold back? So when you look at yourself in life and say, hey, right now I get it. You're trying to walk through this portion of your life and you're trying to get this right because you don't want to make a mistake. But I'd rather have you make a mistake now than later on when it matters most, right? So focus on, yeah, it's great to be perfect, all that stuff. I like the adage more of go all out and learn to fail faster and get better quicker, because you will, one, if you can not care about failing and give everything you have every time you do it, then you will get better faster. So the kids that are going out there and just going full speed and don't care if they miss that layup, do not care if their teammates get on their case, do not care, they will perform better in the game 100% every time. Then on the other side, we the coach has them switch to their left hand, right? So most people are right-handed. Obviously, a few kids were left-handed, but most kids are right-handed. So now what are they doing on that left side? Are they practicing left-handed layups? Are you showing up in life and not showing up in the way you're supposed to because you're afraid to make mistakes? So that's something you really want to look at. You have to learn to fail and learn to fail faster than slower. You have to embrace failure, right? Like I just finished this book, Embrace the Suck, embrace, whatever, it doesn't matter. Learn to fail hard, learn to fail fast, learn to make mistakes, all that stuff. And I want to you know, caution you because people in life love to be critical. We love to correct people because we get this little power high because we're right when we can say, "Oh, you said that word wrong. Let me correct you," or "That was wrong. Let me correct you." And so our egos are so caught up in this perfectionist bubble that we get basically a high correcting people. The problem with that, which you may or may not see, is that you're looking at yourself and getting that rush of adrenaline, that ego boost, all stuff for being right. But the other person means they're wrong, and it doesn't feel good, right? That's considered unloving if you do that to your children, you do that to other people. So you have to be aware about correcting people. Not saying, you know, being giving critical feedback or correcting people isn't valid. It definitely is valid. It is very important when you run a company. It's very important when you raise children. It's very important if you have friends. You want your friends to give you valuable feedback. You want people in your life to give you valuable feedback. Sometimes it's not warranted, sometimes it's unwanted, sometimes it's necessary. Like I use that thing, if something's stuck in my teeth, please tell me. Just tell me. I don't even care who you are. If you're a stranger, just let me know. Just be like, got something in your teeth. Just take care of that. All right? So it's important that people give you feedback. But then if there's bigger things in life, right? If people are totally messing up in their life, going down a wrong path, and you don't know them, that feedback might not be warranted, right? It depends on the relationship and the type of feedback and how you can give it. So John Gottman is a big Marriage Institute, all stuff, really good stuff. Talks about he knows if they're getting a divorce or not within like 5 minutes based off of different factors. But a lot is when it comes to feedback and the negative versus positive. They'll talk about like it's a bank, right? How many deposits do you have in that bank before you can give something negative? How many positive things do you have to fill them up with where they know, like, hey, look, this person's got my back. They're there for me. They're going to always be nice, kind. I can count on them. So when they give me feedback, I know it's coming from a good place. So first we have to, fill up their bucket per se from a relationship standpoint before we can give it, that type of feedback. Obviously, if it's a workplace setting, and you're somebody's boss, or that is different. You don't need they're essentially working under you and you need to give them feedback. But at the same time, if you're never giving them feedback at all about anything that's beneficial, and then you just come in always just to give them bad feedback, that's not going to be helpful. As a coach, as a consultant, as a mentor, all these things matter how you give that feedback. The adage is it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But on that note, in that story, I want people to realize, like, learn to fail hard and fast, embrace failure. It is the best thing for you because none of us are perfect. We're all going to make mistakes in all areas of our life. If you're great at something, it's probably because you got there by not being being okay with failing, right? I learned to ski fairly proficiently in a day, not because I am some great skier or all stuff, but I was willing to fall down no matter what. I knew I had to make more mistakes than anybody else on that mountain before I could get it. And that they failure teaches us lessons if we pay attention to what's going on. So feedback is very vital, especially to ourselves. So if you can embrace that failure so you can get that instant feedback when it comes to learning a new skill and you're willing to do it at full speed. You don't hold yourself back, right? Go as hard and as fast as you possibly can at that time in your life, and then go harder next time, then harder next time. Keep pressing yourself for greatness, and focus on failing because it is the key to success. I hope this was helpful, and I wish you all the best and all the success. Take care.